Thanks for the support as a channel member, Unpredictable Plays. Well, after an absolutely insane season and with a bank balance higher than we've ever had before, we're now in the weird situation of going into a transfer special, having absolutely no idea of how much money we're going to have to spend in that transfer special. I assume we're going to get the budgets fairly on in this video. Hello and welcome to part 92 of Bourne Again. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our season review and transfer special. And as you can see, our transfer budget has already been spoilt. We'll get more details on it when we get to that inbox page in a second. But the headline appears to be, because we've not had the championship prize money in yet, the headline seems to be a slight increase in wage budget, but we were paying, we're currently spending £294,000 a week, and that's roughly what the budget is. So I guess that does include those 10 loans, but we are getting over £1 million in transfer budget. So we'll have a look to see what all that means in a second. It's not quite the riches I was hoping for, but it's certainly better than a kick in the teeth. So season review stuff first. This is our new Bourne overall best 11, the most exciting page of the season review, because we get to see who our team of the series is, basically. And you can see from here that Hernandez and Lastra are the two players who've made it into the all-time best 11 most recently. So our best goalkeeper now is Alan FA Cup Hardy. Well-deserved as well. He's now had a full 3 seasons with us. He's been fantastic for all 3 of them. We've recently signed him to a new contract to give him another 3 years as well. Former England under-20 international. Not only former England under-20 international, but also former under-20 World Cup winner with England and under-20 Elite League winner with England. So he was part of a very good England under-20 team as well. So Hardy's our all-time best goalkeeper, as you'd expect. A back four of Mata, who seems to have made a return to the all-time best 11. I think he dropped down to the bench last year, but Japhet Mata back in the team. 35 years old now, still banging in the goals for Stocksbridge, where he is a club legend, but also still in our all-time best 11. And Barnes is probably going to be feeling a little bit hard done by that Matters in that team at left-back ahead of him, because Barnes, similar to Hardy, has done a full 3 years with us. In fact, is it 4? No, it's 4 years for Barnes. And somehow not in the all-time best 11 as our best ever left-back, which seems a little bit harsh. The rest of the back four, Lastra's in at right back, which seems fair. At the time he came in, he was our all-time record signing. He's been very good for 2 years. There's a chance he might be moving on this summer, because we've got Ansong, the young £8 million rated right back. And if we get 7-figure offers for Lastra again, like we were getting in January, I think there's a good argument for moving him on and focusing on the youngster. Unless we get the £8 million offer for Ansong, in which case Lastra stays for years. The rest of the back four is O'Driscoll, who is still knocking around the place, but hasn't actually featured for about 3 years now. Pretty much since signing permanently. He was great on loan and has spent 3 years not playing since then. And Charlie Wiggett, who's now at Burton, aged 30 years old now. He's been hovering around the league for about the last 10 years, but never came back to Bourne. And I think these are the kind of players who need to be being pushed out of this team now, because I don't think they're illustrative of what our best 11 should be. Central midfield partnership of Clark and Dean. They were great together, so it's good to see them in the all-time best 11 as a partnership. Clark, not quite the same player in the Championship as he was down in League One, been pushed out of the way by the likes of Arnautovic and Butler and Hernandez. Likewise, Chris Dean, who we never actually signed permanently, and he's dropped back down to League Two, whereas you can see at League Two level, he's an absolute hero, just like he was for us. So good to see him not drifting out of football altogether. The front four then, we've got Jacob Quinn on the left of it, who is now available as a free agent. He was great for us in non-league, never got in Sheffield Wednesday's team. I suspect he's not going to be good enough to get anywhere near our team, age 25. We'll take him in on trial and have a look, but his chance to be a real part of Bourne history left when he didn't want to come back. Hernandez in as the attacking midfielder despite never playing there, which is weird. And Leahy still gets in on that right-hand side. We need to get a right winger to push him out of that team, really. And Hector Ingram likewise. I mean, I guess Hector Ingram probably still is the best striker we ever had. It would be a coin flip between him and Carty probably, but it's time we sign someone to push him out of that team. That's got to be the goal for this summer. Get a proper goal scorer, because I think that's the difference between hovering around upper mid-table again and actually having a proper playoff push. So the end of season awards, Gamady gets player of the season with 43% of the vote. Hernandez runner-up on 24%, and Lastra third place with 20% of the vote. Goal of the season went to Brian Durkin, probably because we were so excited because he scored a goal, which has been quite a rarity for someone who's been, really our first choice striker for most of the season, and he's not really delivered the goods. I don't think I'm going to be desperate to bring Durkin back because he's just not prolific enough. We could have Pavlov in the team and he would have probably scored more goals than Durkin. And in fact, Pavlov did score more goals last year than Durkin scored this year. Barnes getting signing of the season, despite having already been here 3 years. I'm not going to argue because he's a club legend. It is a little bit weird that he gets signing of the season when we have all these other players who've come in and done great things, though. And Gamady getting young player of the year. So team of the year is Hardy in goal, a back four of Barnes, Danks, Gamady and Lastra, Butler and Hernandez in midfield, Bruce, Gilligan and Zajic behind Durkin up front. Not many of those loans in there, which I think is telling. Obviously, Durkin's in on loan, as is Butler and Gamady. The rest of them are all our own players. So that team that had the FA Cup run, obviously not playing enough games to justify being in team of the year. It is interesting as well to see that we did effectively have two teams on the go, which I guess is how we were able to compete in the FA Cup, because most of the team were quite fresh when they played in it. Top scorer, despite barely starting a game of football, is Pavlov for the third year in a row. He only started 5 games of football all year and still finished as top scorer. Are we all going to accept now that, okay, he might not be perfect, but he is the best striker at the club and has been for the last 3 years? And wages rise, he's in the lower half of salaries as well. So we can stop picking on Pavlov now. He's a hero. Gamady gets best average rating. Lastra and Zajic tied for most assists. Gilligan, best pass completion. Man of the match award goes to Hernandez. And then Danks, along with Butler, Townrow and Scott, all in with their red cards as part of the Naughty Boys Club. Season review, we overachieved. We were supposed to finish mid-table. No, in fact, we were supposed to be trying to avoid a relegation battle. We finished top half. We got to the FA Cup final. Even the Carabao Cup run, 4th round in that, is always good. An average attendance of 3,600 as well means we are getting closer and closer to filling our ground on a regular basis, which means we might be getting closer and closer to actually being able to get a new one that will be fit for the Premier League, because obviously that's what we're trying to prepare for. Budgets wise, there's your confirmation of the budgets that we've got, and if we just have a little play around with them, if we assume, it's not going to let us take any transfer budget into wage budget, so it looks like we might actually have to spend some money on transfers, which might not be a bad thing. For club vision, Sir Mick Powell's not really changing anything up here. He still wants defensive, high-tempo, counter-attacking football that makes the most of set pieces. We definitely do that part. He wants me to continue working within the wage budget. And for next season, again, looking for a mid-table finish. We've got training facilities and youth facilities that are going to be finished over the course of this season. My contract's up as well, which, Mick, FA Cup final, do you want to give me a new contract now? Because I don't think that should be appearing on here. And the long-term goal is just to become an established championship team. That might be your goal, Sir Mick. This might be why you're not building me a ground yet. My goal is Premier League within 2 years from here, I think. I think that's realistic. Our team leaders are Hardy, O'Driscoll and Barnes. We need to move O'Driscoll on, so we can't have a team leader not playing. I guess maybe someone like Pavlov or Lastra or Hernandez can step up into that role when O'Driscoll leaves. Our end-of-season team meeting, we're going to passionately say mid-table. We're going to calmly say mid-table. I don't think you can passionately talk about mid-table. Mid-table finish. Everyone's happy with that. So I'll be passionate about their happiness, which is always a nice combination. End of season break, and boom. Now we wait to see how much prize money we get in for the championship, which should be soon, I think. I want to see that balance go up above 10 million, and then I'm going to try and push for some facilities, maybe a stadium. We'll get on with renewing some contracts. And, there's our normal cash injection. Lovely stuff. Let's see what else we've got on here. And, of course, then we're going to ask for the new ground as well. Yeah, confirmation Quinn wouldn't be good enough to come in. That's the financial fair play stuff. We've avoided a tax hit somehow, despite having a profitable year. Sponsorship-wise, we're actually finally getting some decent sponsor money in. It's still nowhere near championship level, but our main kit sponsor is now giving us £100,000 a year, up from 55,000. So we've doubled that sponsorship revenue. It still only pays for a third of 1 week's wage bill, so we're still nowhere near where we need to be. This LOLLUJO, who's on the shirts, needs to stick his hand in his pocket the way Sir Mick Powell does and put some money into the club. But it's good to see it heading in the right direction at least. And our competition prize money up from 800,000 last year to 6 million. I guess that's majority of that is the championship prize money. Also some decent. In fact, we made less money this year from TV money than the year before, but more from pretty much everything else. We're moving in the right direction. Top shirts sold. Only sold 736 shirts in the championship. For comparison, in real life we sold over 100 shirts. And we're in tier 10. This number seems wrong. Surely everyone who went to Wembley for the cup final would have bought a shirt. But Arnautovic, Pavlov, Renato Sanchez, who's obviously moving on, the top shirt sellers. I guess that one's just because it's cool to have him on your shirt. He's our boy who's going on to great things, and he's the cult hero. You lot might not like him, but I think in reality, Goran Pavlov is a terrace hero because he's not brilliant, but he tries hard and he genuinely looks like one of the better players at times. So scouting budget, now we've actually got some money again. So we've got 347,000. So we can actually start scouting some of Europe. And no, in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to say UK and Ireland, but including youth players as well. So we still can't quite get a European scouting package, but at least we're starting to spend a little bit more money on scouting, which is good. Sir Mick Powell, less money needed to pump in this year, only the £2 million going in this time, down from 4 or 5 for the last couple of summers. So we're becoming less reliant on Sir Mick Powell. There's your confirmation. We're improving the training and youth facilities, which is going to cost us £2.5 million. And Husic has got an injury out on loan. So after all that, our bank balance is still 7 million. That's with the facilities already being upgraded. Can we? The stadium's not on there as a choice. I want to increase my junior coaching budget. Yeah, good. He agrees to everything. Sir Mick Powell is a legend. Can we improve youth recruitment again? Good boy, Sir Mick. Always good for the Name in a Game channel members that we're slowly but surely improving the youth. And let's just double check in on the facilities now with all that done. So we're slowly getting there with our training. Average youth facilities now, level 3 youth level, average youth recruitment. We're getting there. We are very, very slowly turning this into a football league club, at least, which has got to be a positive. Now let's wait for more money to flow in. We want money. We've just had our big pile of cash in. Only 200. I panicked when I saw that, and then I realised it's actually solidarity payment that you get rather than prize money. All of which means our bank balance has now shot up to this. So that means we can now adjust budgets around. But more importantly, I wanted to ask for more transfer revenue available, just in case we get any big offers in for any of those players. We've only made an offer for one player so far. Alan Reid is a centre-back from Arsenal, previous under-21 international. He's got a very high scouting recommendation. He'd be the best centre-back at the club, theoretically, ahead of Kalic and Gamady, so could slot in there alongside Danks and maybe mean that we don't need to bring either of those guys back on loan next year. He's been on loan at Charlton for the last couple of years. He's out of contract at Arsenal. We can't yet offer pre-contracts because the window isn't open, but Arsenal accepted an offer of 0 for him, so we could have a transfer, effectively an early free transfer, and bring Alan Reid in if he agrees to come to us. Try and steal ahead of some of our competitors who are probably also going to be looking at him if we wait for his contract to actually expire. You've been asking me to do this for a long, long time. I've finally taken the plunge. Guillaume Balaguer has finally been relieved of his duties as Director of Football after 14 years in the job. He just wasn't getting the job done anymore. He's gone. We're going to bring in a new Director of Football. We've just brought in a technical director who's going to start looking after the staff, and we're trying to bring in someone better to take over the player recruitment side of things. I've also finally adjusted who gives me advice on the player reports and all that kind of thing. From now on, it's going to be this guy, Declan Cornhill, with his 12 and 13, rather than Joseph Hrebniak with his 4-4. Finally decided that the time had come for that. Expect a huge upgrade in signings and player development. Of course, I'm sure some of you will wonder why now is the time. Now is the time because my assistant manager has announced his retirement, who's been with me a little while. If we get back to the coaching team again. So Tom Jones, not that one. He hasn't been with me since the start. We took him from #United 7 years ago. So he's been with us for the majority of our charge up through the tier 6 onwards, really. But he's announced his retirement age 68. So I'm thinking if we're getting a new assistant manager, we may as well have a full backroom reshuffle. So we've got some new scouts coming in. Like I say, the new technical director. There'll be a new assistant manager and a new director of football as well. We're good. Our coaching team is generally good, but we do need to improve our recruitment and our medical side of things. So hopefully the new technical director will go a long way towards fixing these areas, whilst maybe bringing in a new assistant manager who focuses on fitness or goalkeeping to fix the balance that we've got going on there. But we have new players who have arrived, quite the pile of them. Alan Reid, who you've already met, who's the guy who's just come in for £0 from Arsenal, immediately valued at £4.7 million. He's going to be the first person to benefit from a coach report from Declan Cornhill. Oh, the luxury. And that puts him better than Gamady. We've just signed a centre-back for free who's better than Gamady. Now, obviously, he's 5'10" compared to 6'5". So there is one specific area where he's not better than Gamady. But it's not to say we don't bring Gamady back. We're going to look at loans in a second. But I think that's a good signing to start us off for the summer. The rest of these are my typical 18-year-olds, or a lot of them are 19 now, who come in with a view to becoming our homegrown bench sitters in the future. So Tim O'Donovan is a young striker who's coming for Arsenal. These are all relatively cheap signings. Declan Clark O'Sullivan, 19-year-old Welsh under-21 international. He's coming from Liverpool. Mickey Thomas Barker is a striker who's coming from Arsenal, so he'll be friends with Alan Reid probably. And Jack Hornby can play anywhere. He's an Irish under-21 international, 4.5-star potential, and he's in from Liverpool. They all get B ratings, so I'm not going to complain about that too much. Let's just welcome him in. And then we've got, this is my technical director doing all his backroom stuff. Like having a technical director, feel all fancy. We've got new scout. Oh, we haven't got new scout reports in. Okay, so we're not going to worry about that for now. But the transfer window has just opened, which means the time has come now. Why have we not got the full LOLLUJO view going on? There we go. To decide which loans we try and bring back, or which ones we can get back. Obviously, priority number one is Arnautovic. If we can get him on loan again, that would be sensational. It looks like we can. Dinko, you're coming back for another year. Kalic, we only want 5. Kalic to compete with Reid and Danks would be awesome if we could get him again. Is he tall enough? He's even taller. I remember now. Can we get him back on loan? They only want 40%. Boom. Yes, we'll bring him back. So that's 2. And now we have to decide how many more of these we want. I really liked Butler over the course of the season, but looking at his actual rating, I wonder if we could maybe do better than Butler. Because if we've got Arnautovic and Hernandez who are well ahead of him, according to old Declan. Declan doesn't rate Butler, it seems. Previously, Butler was our main man in midfield. But if we're going back to an Arnautovic-Hernandez midfield, do we want to waste a loan on Kyle Butler? Can we sign him permanently yet? No. Robinson, Scott, Gamady would be the others. I don't know that. I mean, I've loved Gamady, but I don't know that we need 2 centre-backs on loan when we've already got Reid and Danks. I mean, that would give us 4 very good centre-backs, which is no bad thing, but it does mean Danks then is pretty much never going to play. I guess Reid can offer cover at right-back, maybe. Robinson. We've got Casey Grayson who's going to be coming back, and I know you lot love a bit of Casey Grayson, but I think what we have to take into account with him, if we can find him, is he's all the way down here. He's still not ready for the Championship. Look at the clubs who are trying to loan him. He's not a Championship player. So I think we need Robinson. If we can get him. So make offer, loan. Boom. Yeah, we'll take Robinson again. Ricky Scott. Ricky Scott. Tricky Ricky on the wing. He has moments of brilliance, and then he does what he did in the FA Cup final. I think at 20 years old, we probably accept him as a bit of an enigma. Tricky Ricky, boom. And then we need one more. Glad the builders next door are celebrating with a bit of drilling. So it means we're not going to get Durkin, Townrow, Butler or Durand or Dane Jack all the way down there. Do we go for Gamady one more time? I'd love to. If I could sign him permanently, I'd be over the moon. I think we do. I mean, he was our player of the year, wasn't he? Or one of our players of the year. Oh, they don't want to let's have him. There you go. Decision made. Forest want Gamady. I'm not going to take any of these for now. We'll take those 4. And then I guess we'll see what gaps we've got in the squad when the time comes. And of course, this is assuming those 4 actually want to come, because Arnautovic would have been with us from the start of last season, but he didn't want to actually come. He wanted to try and get into Leicester's team, and it wasn't until January that he actually agreed to join us. So there's no guarantees we're actually going to get all of those. It looks like we're probably going to miss out on this guy, young striker. Quite like to bring in a young striker, but there's lots of clubs in for him, so we're probably not going to get him. And I want to see who Sir Mick is going to bring in as my new director of football. We are advertising for one, and hopefully we get a new director of football soon. I want a new director of football in before the 1st of July, certainly, because if I don't, it makes it very difficult to go to my director of football and ask him for some recommended signings, like I like to do. Transfer story leaked. There you go. Are you trying to buy a player, Mick? Oh, Mick, what are you up to? Why are you trying to buy a player? Forget about trying to buy players. You focus on getting me a new director of football, Mick. Let's not get you all confused with footballers. Casey Grayson, you're going to hate me for this. All of you are going to hate what's about to happen. He's going back out on loan for another year. The fact that it's Yeovil in League 2 who want him, I think, says it all. If it was Championship clubs chasing him, then I'd give him a go. But he's not as good as I think some sections of the comments think he is. Right, we have the 4 loans confirmed, and we've also turned down a £2.5-ish million offer for Hernandez for Nottingham Forest. His agent then immediately asked for a new deal, so he sacked his agent because Hernandez is my boy. The only problem is he's replaced him with a very impatient negotiator. So this might be problematic with Hernandez as time goes on. But we have got our 4 loans that we wanted back in. Why the transfer budget's drifted upwards again? Why do budgets drift in Football Manager these days? We have not sold anybody. We've not adjusted the wage. In fact, it's adjusted the wage budget for me. It's taken the wage budget down, and I haven't made that. I promise I've not made that change. It's moved it from that, and I don't know why. No idea. We'll let it just drift around how it wants for now. So, team report, as it stands right now, if we get rid of everybody who's got expiring contracts, which isn't many, so we don't have many contracts that expire these days, can we limit it to 3-star? If we limit to 3-star ability, that really highlights the gaps in the squad. So, we've got the 2 lone strikers, we've got Bruce, the 2 attacking midfielders, 2 wingers, 3 midfielders, but one of them is Bruce. No one good enough to play left back, 4 good centre backs, 2 good right backs, and a goalkeeper. So that really highlights where we need to strengthen this summer. We need another striker because obviously Robinson's there, Scott's there. So we need a proper striker. We need another left winger. We need another central midfielder and a couple of left backs. Now, you could argue we don't need a couple of left backs because Riley is young and has potential. Although he's taken his time fulfilling it, maybe because someone's not playing him. And Barnes is a legend. So you could argue if we drop that down to 2 stars, we have got some other players knocking around. But I think I'm going to be brutal this summer and really try and get us down to a tight, like 22, 24-man squad rather than this bloated mess of 1 and 2 star players that we've got at the moment. So left back, left wing, striker, midfielder. That's what we're after. Let's go get them. Well, here's an interesting thing. I know last year we had the whole conversation about how we are a selling club and we need to sell a big player every summer. Well, potentially this summer's big sale is here, because Daryl Danks, who is 26 years old, is, I mean, at the moment, our 4th best centre-back. But, of course, Gamadi's not going to be coming back. But we've got Kjalic and Reed, who are likely to be our starting centre-backs. So this is our backup centre-back. We would obviously have to replace him. He's a very good player. He did play a lot of football for us last year. But it's a big offer. I mean, we're trying to sign this guy from Man City. He's not a direct replacement. Why are we trying to sign him? We don't... His scout report must have expired. Do they do that? How have we not got a scout report for him anymore? I don't understand. Anyway, he's 5-star potential, but not yet good enough to be in the first team. But this is a big, big offer. So I'm wondering if we even do what we did last year and say, you know what? He's got a minimum fee release clause. This is what we did with Arnautovic. I mean, it might just scare them off. But if we say, look, we're not going to insist on it, but we'll just remind them up front, it's got a release clause, you know. They're going to pay nearly £9 million for our backup centre-back. Well, there we go then. Daryl Danks has signed for Derby for £8.75 million. Which just seems like absolute insanity. But it's their insanity. What's even more insane is the man himself's been given 1.8 million of it because we agreed a 20% clause. I mean, I didn't expect him to go for nearly 9 million quid at some point in the future. There's confirmation. Grayson's going out on loan for another year. So that means we've now all of a sudden got nearly a £7 million transfer budget. We've got £17.5 million in the bank. Oh, boys and girls, this summer just got interesting. Just in case you were worried that new sponsorship deal had put us right up there in the elite in the Championship, 120,000 compared to 8 million of sponsorship for Everton, I think that was. Oh no, it's the average. Sorry, the average amount is 8 million. Everton, 38 million pounds in sponsorship compared to our 120,000. I know we've got some money in the bank at the moment, but we're still well behind financially. We have had a nice boost in stature, though, because of the FA Cup final run. And we've sorted out the backroom staff. If we have a little look over here, there's also a whole bunch of players who are going to be leaving, which I'll show you probably after they've gone, because it's... In fact, here you go. So, confirmation that Ethan Catamol has gone to Boston, 26,000. Norman to Fleetwood for £3,500. Scott Williams has gone to Chelsea, presumably to sit on their bench. I don't know why Chelsea wanted him. It must just be they needed an English goalkeeper to round out their squad, presumably. A homegrown keeper. So Scott Williams has gone to Chelsea, where, hold the phone, they're paying him 25 grand a week. He's got a 4-year contract on 25 grand a week. Talk about falling on your feet for Scott Williams. He is set for life just because Chelsea didn't have enough English players. Wowzers. And John Clark has gone to Newport for £215,000. There's also a couple more transfers arranged. Bob Zaruli, who came in, got injured, never really played. He's going to be going out to... He's got, I think, big fee for him. £1.5 million for him. And Kyle Washbourne's going to play in Brazil, which, again, wouldn't have necessarily expected that. We've turned down an offer for Houston. That was a £750,000 offer. Renato Sanchez, of course, is leaving as well. Juric, who was our record signing last summer. This is the one I let my director... This is the main reason that Balaguer got fired, because I let him spend £575,000 without scouting the player, because it was deadline day and we kind of needed a left midfielder, and this guy was rubbish. So he's going out. We've taken a big loss on him. He's going to Strasbourg for £350,000, so almost a £300,000 loss on him. But at least we've got him off the books. And Mejia is going to Albacete for £100,000. The important thing there is they're paying his wages rather than necessarily the fee. But again, he wasn't really involved last year. So we've got a couple of youngsters coming in. We missed out on this guy. He's gone somewhere else. But we do have a young winger coming in, a young German winger, who I think we arranged this last year. He's just one for the future. Also a striker for the future as well. Although there's a chance he'll come in as our best striker already, certainly of the ones who are actually our player. So there's probably going to be a difficult decision to make around Pavlov and Husic soon. And I'm probably going to have to sell them. I'm being ruthless this summer. I'm looking at my team report. And anyone who isn't on the team report, when I say 3-star minimum on the squad depth, I mean, Pavlov snuck his way back up somehow. So he is back in the mix, as is Husic. So according to that, we're really good for strikers. So we probably don't need a striker now. I'd argue we probably still do. Train's had a bit of an upgrade as well, because I actually had him transfer listed, but nobody wanted him. I'm inclined to still probably move him on and try and upgrade in that area. We've got a new left back coming in, William Congni. It's a Cameroonian international. He's only cost us 100,000. So that's a little upgrade there as well. We do need probably a couple more defenders now. Hewson's dropped out of that. That's interesting. Maybe we move Hewson on and we really push for a couple more centre backs. But the squad is taking shape and we've got £8 million to spend. I'm just waiting for the 1st of July now, and then we're going to go nuts. I think I started that bit saying I was going to show you the staff and then forgot. So let's show you the staff. So staff. So obviously we let Balaguer go. Jones retired. We've got a couple of scouts in. We're not really bothered about them. The important new members. Rory Gaffney is our new director of football. It's not exactly a significant upgrade on all that kind of stuff, but he's more about, I don't even know what he does now. Now that we've got Taylor hiring the staff for us, who would have been a better director of football. I mean, Mick Powell hired him. I ain't bothered. My new assistant manager is this guy, Dan Cummings, who was previously assistant manager at Brentford and Coventry and has worked his way around a little bit. So Dan Cummings is the new scapegoat if things go wrong. And we'll see if this new director of football does any good. He has got previous for being a director of football. He was director of football of Port Vale, where he retired as a player. And then they immediately made him their director of football, where he stayed for the next 9 years. I don't know if they've had a reputation for bringing in players and selling them on for lots of money. That's the kind of director of football I'd want. All transfers. If he's been signing gems for them, then this isn't looking promising, is it? They've not actually sold a player for money during his time at the club, I don't think. I don't think he might just be a 1-year solution as new director of football. But with the new staff in, we do get a little bit of an upgrade on the scouting team. It's still not great, but it's better than it was. Coaching team still looks fine. Best in the division for a lot of things. And the medical team, it's probably the next thing I need to go and upgrade. I'm still the only club legend. Lebahan Gumedi is a favoured personnel. I did an inquiry to see if Forest wanted to sell him. They wanted 12 million quid for him. I don't want him that much. And what we might do is just see, now we've got a big bank balance, is there more facilities and stuff we can do? There isn't, because it's all already in motion. Give me the option for a stadium. Now is the time to get that accepted, I think. Right, we have made it through to the 1st of July, which of course means, I don't know why that just jumped back to that screen. I thought the game was crashing, which of course means it's time for trials. We've sold £11 million worth of player before we even get to the 1st of July. Things are changing here at Bourne. That FA Cup final was the first step towards a new way of this club running. So I think we got as far as Clark. There's your confirmation of Mejia, Zaruli and Duric leaving as well. You've already met everybody who's on their way in, apart from this guy, Josima Aragoneses, who is a 24-year-old former Spanish under-20 international. He's primarily a defensive midfielder, will able to provide cover at the centre-back and central midfield as well. It's not that I'm fully committing to a tactic change, but I don't think it would hurt us to have a 4-3-3 in our locker as well as the 4-2-3-1. And that's the guy who can sit there and be the defensive midfielder if we decide to do that. So squad depth, there's definite work that needs to be done here. Because if we filter this by our 3-star players now, you can see all of a sudden, where are my loans? Why are they not in? Are you telling me my loans have all been massively downgraded? No, for some reason they're not showing. Right, well that screen's going to be less useful until everybody starts showing back up on it again. Hernandez has been offered a new contract. We've got the 4 loans back in that we wanted. We've obviously got Alan Reid as the new guy. Why isn't this working? What have I done wrong on here? I've done something wrong. Expiring contracts, maybe? There we go. So because we're now in a new season, any contract that expires the end of this year. So that's looking a little healthier. Striker-wise, we look good. That being said, Pavlov and Husic probably both going to be leaving this summer. We've accepted offers for both of them, both around the £600,000-700,000 mark. So I think getting 1.2 to 1.5 million back in for those two after the service they've put in and being backup players last year, that works for me. But it does mean we definitely need a new striker, unless we're going to go all in on Michael Amlang, 17 years old. He's already a 3-star current ability player. He's not yet arrived. When does he arrive? End of the month. So we're relying on our scouts at the moment. I guess let's see what the assistant manager thinks when he comes in. But he might be the man, mixing in with those two. Train, I think I'm going to take off the transfer list because I think I'm happy with those as a 3 in there. And Train does offer us other options in the wide areas as well, where we've got Scott and Ziyech on that side. We do need another left winger. Central midfield, interestingly, our new left back can play in central midfield as well, and is a decent option in there. So maybe central midfield isn't as urgent, but obviously he's going to be playing largely at left back. So maybe one more central midfielder, another left winger, another striker, couple of defenders, centre backs, another left back. Unless we go with Riley. Barnes, we've accepted an offer from Barnes, a big £1.5 million offer for Joel Barnes. It's a proper clear-out going on this summer, and we need a backup goalkeeper as well. But first, let's see what's available on the free transfers. Here we go, folks. Meet this summer's Andy Abbott. We offered this guy 26 grand a week to come and sign for us, and he's gone to Huddersfield instead. We're not big enough. There are some pretty cool players hopefully coming in, though. I hope it's not going to be the next 5 minutes of me showing you lots of players who haven't arrived. I'm not going to show you who's potentially coming until I know they're coming, or else I'm about to get sad again. It's a sad day for Bourne because a hero has departed. You lot will be loving it. Pavlov has left, along with Husic, along with Hewson. We really are clearing out the fringe players and trying to go for this smaller, higher quality squad idea to give us the big promotion push. It's going to go one way or the other. We're either going to have the promotion push. I'm really blurry, and I don't know why. Camera, stop being blurry. Excellent. We're either going to have the big promotion push, or we're going to get relegated because I'll ruin dynamics and our squad will be too small and a few players will get injured. But Juric has gone to Strasbourg. I think we knew about that one. Husic has gone to PAOK, who was on loan out last season, I think. Yeah, he was on loan there, scored 2 goals from 2 games. They didn't really use him, but they obviously used him enough to decide to spend £675,000 on him. Pavlov's gone to America, to LAFC, who are paying him less than he was earning with us, but he gets to live in LA and he's on a 4-year contract. So Pavlov, I imagine, is going to go and become a star of the MLS now because he seems like just the right kind of player to go there and become a superstar. And James Hewson has gone to Preston for £500,000, really a victim of us having better options than him. He was a good centre-back and he was very good that first season, but we just always seem to have better, and that's got to be the plan for this summer as well. Make sure we have better. So, more players that have come in. Ian Wilkinson is a young attacker prospect. When was the last time I said attacker? 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. He comes in from Wolves. He's just to be a rotation player. Don't expect to see much more of Ian Wilkinson for a year or two. The rest of these, I think, are all first-team squad members, though, to replace all these players who've left for 12 million quid. So, John Hale is a squad player in midfield for us, 26 years old, central midfield player. He's been playing for Sunderland for the last 3 years in League One, and previously of Bournemouth up in Premier League. What? I mean, Bournemouth's as south as you can get. Why am I putting on a silly voice? I don't understand. Now, anyone who would say in Premier League now thinks I'm calling that a silly voice. It's a silly voice when I do it. He's just a rotation midfield player. That's why he's come in. We needed an extra body. He is the extra body. We've also got David Leonardo, who's a former Brazilian under-20 international. If you're watching my Twitch streams at the moment, you'll know how much I can't resist a Brazilian youngster. And that's what David Leonardo is. He's a right winger. He's 3.5-star current ability. He's come in valued at £9 million. Previously of Tottenham, but played a full season in the Bundesliga for Stuttgart last year. This is a decent calibre of player, and he's going to be right up there competing with Ricky Scott. Is Ricky Scott from Spurs as well? No, he's from Southampton. It's Robinson who's from Spurs, isn't it? So there's going to be players here who he knows as well. But a Brazilian under-20 international, you can't go wrong. Evan Lahif is he's effectively our Pavlov replacement, but with better finishing. 22 years old, 3 goals from 2 Australian caps already. 3-star current ability puts him exactly the same current ability level that Pavlov and Husic were at, but he's got 4-star potential. He's a little bit younger. He's scored goals down in Australia and making the move to England, and he might become a star, he might not, but you know what? He's cheaper than both of those two were for the same kind of quality with more potential. So to me, decent third choice striker to have knocking around. And if he ends up good, awesome. Nicky Late is another young striker, just another youngster from Stoke. Again, don't expect to see much more of him this year. Benito Fernandez is another striker. 23 years old, Spanish, 3-star current ability. Similar sort of logic to with Lahif. We've basically let Pavlov and Husic go and brought in Lahif and Fernandez. This guy I thought had more potential than he does. Although to be fair, in the second division in Spain, he's been scoring a goal every other game for the last few years. He's even done a full season in La Liga where he scored goals in La Liga. So there's definitely goals in him. Hopefully, again, between those 2 or 3 strikers we've got, and I still don't know that I've got my main striker, but I think we've upgraded the strikers that we did have, going sort of like for like, but a little bit better. And if we find a 5-star awesome one, then great. And then the last one for now, Mauricio Cruz is a centre-back, current Uruguayan international, 5 caps, 24 years old, 4-star current ability. He's right up there ability-wise with Kalic and Reed. There really are only 3 centre-backs at the moment, but this guy he was playing in Uruguay. He came up, my director of football recommended him to him, and bizarrely, work permits aren't a thing in the Championship. We wouldn't have been able to just bring him in the Premier League, but in the Championship, we can pretty much sign who we want. I think that might be database issues, unless that's really how it works. But with all that said and done, and we're by no means finished, because our balance is still increasing, nearly £20 million in the bank now, still loads of spare wage budget, still £5 million of transfer budget. But this is what the team report's starting to look like now. And you can see we are, again, with that 3-star minimum ability filter on, we're really starting to fill up this squad. We've still got Amlang due to come in. But even if we say Robinson's a midfielder and Scott's a winger, we've now got Lahif, Fernandez and Amlang as 3 strikers. With those two, obviously, with the potential to play up there if we want. Gilligan, Robinson and Train as our 3 attacking midfielders. I want to upgrade Train. That is something we're working on. I'd like to bring someone in over the top of both of these, really, if I can. Right wing, I think we're good. We've got Scott, Zajic and Leonardo. You could argue maybe Zajic is a luxury that we maybe don't need, but he's still only 24, valued at $5.5 million. I'm happy to go with the 3 of them. And if it means Scott plays more up front than on the right wing, then so be it. Or maybe 1 or 2 of them need to offer some competition to Jake Bruce on the other side, who's still our only left winger. So signing a left winger is still a high priority. Central midfield, we've got Hernandez. Bruce is still in the mix there as well. But Arnautovic, the new left back, Kongian, we might just end up calling him William, and Hale. We probably still need 1 more of these. If we say he's a left back, he's a left winger, we've probably still only really got 3 central midfielders, 3 centre backs now, the 1 left back, 2 right backs and a goalkeeper. So my shopping list, awesome striker, left winger, central midfielder, centre back, left back, goalkeeper, and if there's money left, another central midfielder as well. So still plenty of business to do and plenty more money to do it with. So let's get back to it. At what point can we build a relationship with LAFC now we've sold them 2 players? Joel Barnes, after 4 years at the club, I'm a bit sad to see him go, but his big buddy Goran's gone to LA, and now Joel Barnes has headed to LA as well. They're not actually friends. They will be, though. They'll help each other settle in. But Joel Barnes, £1.4 million for what was, he was effectively my 3rd choice left back. I guess you could call him backup, depending on how you view Riley. But if we're going with Riley as a young option, and we've just signed a better left back over the top of them both, despite 4 years as first choice, Barnes was third choice left back, and we were offered £1.4 million for him. I'm only human. I have to accept that kind of money. We are finally, we're now up over £20 million. Can we buy a stadium yet? No, still not an option. We continue bringing in players on trial. Thank you, Joel Barnes. You were. Did he ever break the record? That would have been a reason to keep him, really. He never did break Craig Rook's record, and I don't know that we've got anyone even close to that now. Who would be the longest serving player now? Probably, I don't know. Clark's gone. Barnes has gone. Pavlov's gone. Is there anyone who was here more than Hardy? Hardy might be the longest serving player at this point. I can't even see him on there. Because what order are we sorting this in? I don't even know what's gone on here. So Hardy's done 3 years, I think, hasn't he? So 3 years for Hardy. I don't think we've got anyone. How long was Lastra here? Has he done 3 or is he 2? No, he's 2 years. I think Hardy might be our new longest serving player. Bruce, I think, is 2 years as well. Yeah. I mean, it's not a disaster that it's Hardy. Is that reflected in the team leader? Hardy and Hernandez. Hernandez has done 3, hasn't he? No, he's done 2 as well. Well, Hardy should break the record. I doubt I'm going to bring in a goalkeeper better than Hardy. There's an argument for Hardy becoming captain. We don't currently have a captain. Hernandez will probably just step up. But we'll have a little look to see if Hardy might be a better option because he's a guaranteed starter, unlike Hernandez. Right, I've started trying to spend money and it's going wrong. I think I might have to just put the checkbook away and just carry on with the free transfers. I mean, long term, it might not be going wrong. But these 3 players I've just spent money on, they're not as spectacular as I hoped they would be. This guy was good. He was another free transfer. Rodrigo Aparecido, 23-year-old Brazilian under-20 international, now valued £7.25 million. Central midfielder, can play defensive midfield, can play up front, can play centre-back, potential future Premier League central midfielder. I'm good at free transfers, but then I went to try and spend some money to fill the gaps I've not been able to find with my free transfers. Part 1, Jack Beadle, 25-year-old. I signed him to be my 4th choice centre-back, and that's what he's come in to be. And I guess he's just a cheaper version of Houston, so it's not the end of the world. But, I mean, it's 300 grand. It still feels like a lot of money for me here at Bourne. But then it got even sillier from there. Eddie Naismith, again, on the face of it, looks like he's going to be a good sign-in. Can play as an inside forward, attacking midfield. I thought, right, this is the guy who's going to be competing with Bruce all season down this left-hand side. Didn't read the small print. We've agreed to a season-long loan back. So we've paid Kilmarnock £250,000. We're paying this lad's 11 grand a week wages for the next year, and he can't play for us. So it'll be good when he turns up, but it won't be for a year. And then I trusted my scouts, who gave this guy a 95 scouted rating and said he was a sign whatever the price. So the price was £2.5 million. So that's what I signed him for, ignoring the fact he only got 3 goals in the Championship last year. Again, he might end up being awesome, but his initial star rating has him as our 5th best striker. With that other young lad still to come in. He is a potential future Premier League striker. He will be a future star, giving him a number 9 shirt. But for £2.5 million, our first £1 million player, you'd probably expect him to walk straight into the side. And I don't think that's what Daniel Santos is going to be doing. With all that, this is the squad. And I think we're close to done. I'd still like that left winger. I'm happy with Riley as my backup left back, I think. He was fine there last year. We could maybe do with a more experienced backup keeper or even a keeper to come in over the top of Hardy, even though it seems like an awful thing to say. But he is one of the weaker players in the squad now for star rating. Probably Lastra, Hardy and Bruce are the only likely starters who are 3-star players. But left wing is my highest priority. We have still got £1 million to spend, or even more if we adjust it. The budgets just dance around all over the place however they want. I seem to have no control over it. So, well, I do, but the game then takes back control and does what it likes. But we could spend a couple of £1 million on our left winger if we had to. Still can't ask for a stadium. The problem is, such a thing doesn't seem to exist. If we have a look at our scouted players, have a look at who's available as left wingers, sort them by current ability. Scott Fitzpatrick is one of the best. Are we going to spend a couple of million to bring him back? Have we decided that he is better than what we've got after all? I mean, we could potentially get him in on loan again. There's probably worse things we could do. He was an assist machine. Can we get him on loan? No. we'll make an inquiry for Scott Fitzpatrick, 22 years old now. Of the other players, Juric is on there. The other lone winger we had last year, whose name I can't remember, was on there. And then there's this guy, who I think he's just gone there because we tried to sign him, but he decided to go and play in the MLS instead. But we tried to sign him when he was available for free, and he wasn't interested. So slim pickings for left wingers. We'll go to not the development list. Don't even know what that does. We'll go here again and we'll say, come on, either permanent or loan or free transfers. We don't really care. Just show me the left wingers. I'm not signing a 34-year-old, but we'll scout this lot and see if any of them end up any good. Amlang, the striker I've been waiting for all summer, is finally in. I'm glad I didn't save a spot for him as my main striker. 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. He's going to be a very good striker, but he is definitely one for the future. And we've got a few of these now in our as our young strikers, as ones for the future. But I think that's probably that. There's one other player we're trying to get in. We're getting desperate for a left winger. We don't have any kind of backup for Bruce, never mind someone better than him. So we're going old. Zakaria Abukal, 33-year-old Dutch winger who can also play up front. He can play on either wing. He scores goals from the wing. So he's been playing in the top division in the Netherlands all his career and scoring goals from the wing. So if we can get him in before the start of the season, that would be super. I mean, it's looking like, him aside, this is going to be the story of our summer. £14 million worth of players sold, £3 million worth purchased. We do have a very, very solid looking squad now, looking good in all positions, really. We could maybe do with a little bit more strength in depth at centre back. Maybe one more there would be nice. I think if you factor in losing Danks and Gamady, and Hewson, I don't know that Cruz, Reed and Beadle are as good as them as direct replacements, but you could argue Kalic and Cruz are a better starting two, and certainly Kongni, Kalic, Cruz and Ansong is a very good young back four, probably better than the back four we had last year. And obviously we've got Lastra, we've got Riley, we've got Reed as all players who are going to get competitive in there. My midfield I'm very happy with. These areas here, attacking midfield, right wing, up front, loads of depth, loads of options. One more player there, maybe one more here, and goalkeeper, but I'm not desperate. We have appointed our captain. It was a coin flip between these two, Hernandez and Hardy, but just purely on the basis that Hernandez was vice captain before he's moved up and Hardy takes over as vice captain. And Mauricio Cruz is apparently now our best player at the club, valued at £11.5 million. But of course doesn't speak the language, so there's going to be that potential barrier for him at the start of the new season. And obviously because of this huge churn of players, I've managed to ruin my team cohesion and my dressing room atmosphere. We need to get rid of O'Driscoll. And Ansong is still causing problems. Can we not just offer him a new contract? Because the guy who was worried about replacing him is no longer even here. I think we just have to play him a lot to get him to calm down about that, don't we? And then once those two are cheered up, that should push the atmosphere back up again. But it is saying high turnover of staff, of playing staff, off-field staff. Obviously, we've got a new director of football, new technical director, new assistant manager, lots of new players. Our team leaders, Hardy, Hernandez, O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll is on his way out because of the fact he's a team leader. And so then we're going to need one of these three to step up into that void. And really, we need some more players to step up into the more influential roles. Lots of new boys down there who, some of them not even found themselves a little group to hang out in yet, which definitely needs remedying. And that does, in fact, bring us to the end of the transfers, or at least to the start of the new season. We're trying to bring one more defender in, Graham Gebby, just because I'm still not happy that we've got enough cover back there. The more I look at it, the less happy I am with our defensive options. Gebby is theoretically better than Cruz and Kalic, which makes him very, very good indeed. So we've got him potentially coming in. On the flip side of that, O'Driscoll's on his way out, which then frees up that team leader spot. But I think that's a good summer, a very good summer. No idea what my team's going to be. That'll be a little treat for you tomorrow. I've got to figure out how to put these into an 11 now. How ruined is dynamics? Oh, dressing room atmosphere's gone up a bit again. Excellent. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.